Okay, so I am back with more Ace Attorney Chronicles. So, last night when I left off, I know I was super close to finishing the first case, which is going to be the shortest one because if I've learned anything from the Phoenix Wright games, the first case is just kind of like to get you started and like get you used to how the game works and everything. So this is going to be a really short case. So I had I think a 4-hour stream last night, and yeah, 4-hour stream, and I almost finished that case. So pretty sure I'm going to finish it tonight. Why did my hair look weird? I feel like I should like put my hair back, because when I wear a tank top and I like have my hair down like this, it like looks like I'm naked. I'll just have my hair back on one side. Cover my bra strap. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna finish this case and then go on to the next case. So this case has been really good. It's been fairly easy for me to figure out, but it does get harder. I know the Ace Attorney games, they get like significantly harder with each case. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But Your Excellency, the justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. Creepy smile. What was that smile? I know, right? Wasn't that creepy? Yes, of course. Wait, what? I mean, I'd be delighted to help. She speaks Japanese. Okay, listen. Last night, like, whenever she spoke, some, like, weird, illegible text was coming up, and I didn't understand, like, what was happening, and then I figured out, like, like, you know, the detective was translating for her, and so I was like, oh, okay, so she must be speaking English. Everybody else is speaking Japanese, but she studies at, like, a local university. So I was like, she's studying at, like, a school in Japan, at a university in Japan, and she doesn't speak any Japanese. And that's what Ryan Nusuke said, too. He had a thought that was like, she's studying here, but she doesn't speak any Japanese. Well, it turns out she does speak Japanese. So why were you pretending that whole time? That only makes you more sus. And we know that people lied about her being at the diner or the restaurant at lunch with the professor, and then she lied about stuff herself. Makes her very sus, especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Ah, Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all. What? What? But then why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. Wow, that's really rude. Why are you even here then? If you, like, look down on Japan, why are you studying here? But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Really? You're the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this. What? The lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. Why are you taking this from her? I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryanosuke. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can been taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. If there's some other way a man's life can been taken, I don't know if that's grammatically correct. I think it's supposed to be if there's some other way a man's life could have been taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Yeah, I bet. I bet. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Wait, was that a prayer then? I don't know. Okay, so I think this is what I'm gonna do with my camera because it's blocking the text. I think I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna move my camera to this top left corner. Let's see how that looks. Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. Well, I'll have to see what happens with the investigation parts, but I think my camera being at that top corner, it's the least, it provides the least interference with the game. Jolly Toby! There you go. You like it? You like the camera better up there, Jolly Toby? Thank you so much for coming in. How are you? I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, Counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Okay, so we are at the end of the case, so I'm gonna save here. Okay, so when... Yeah, much better, I think. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it. I'm good. How about you? I am good. Thank you so much for asking. How are your streams going? Okay, so when I was just a young grasshopper and the Phoenix Wright games came out, I was very like impatient, right? Like I would like just like present evidence. I wouldn't like take the time to think it through. But now, this time, it's gonna be different. It looks like you just came from the gym. JK. Does it? Does it really? Why is that? Because I'm wearing a tank top? Or do my arms look big? Because like I've been working on my arms. So look at my biceps. I've been doing these arm workouts. I mean, I do like all kinds of workouts, but I've been doing a lot of these arm workouts that focus on like my shoulders and like my biceps. They look good, right? Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may now proceed with the cross-examination. I still rage at these kinds of games. They get really frustrating. But so far, I haven't had anything that I couldn't figure out yet, but it is the first case. So I am sure in some later cases, I'm gonna get really frustrated. But see, Jolly Toby, this is why we're gonna take our time to think and not do it the way I did when, you know, I was just a young grasshopper playing games on my DS, and I would just be like super impatient and just like present evidence, and like then I'd have to like go look up a walkthrough or something. All right, unfortunately, I have no idea when this poor man burnt his wrist like that, so we're gonna press her on every statement. This is what you should do every single statement, unless you get a penalty for it, because in some cases you will, but most of the time you do not get any penalties for pressing. So you always press on every single statement to get more information. You're just wearing a tank top, I mean, but nice to hear you are working out. Yeah, I mean, that's good for you, working out. I try to work out at least 5 times a week. But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry. Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? What? Yeah, but still good for rage games, yeah. Haha, what fun. You hadn't realized. The dear lady's absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, right, Nasuke? Oh boy. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? I mean, it's just instinct. Like, if he burned himself, he's going to have a reaction. Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can. Yes! Okay, well I can't. Anyway... When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. Yes! As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember, which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although, whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. Ah, I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you. That wasn't exactly what she said. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway, as far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. Okay, so we are gonna press that, but let's check the post-mortem report. Single bullet fired at close range. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. So I'm not exactly sure. I mean, so this means internal bleeding, right? Fatal hemorrhage from the gunshot. So she said there's no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. So I mean, I don't know. It's kind of vague though, right? Like, cause like the hemorrhage was caused by the gunshot. So you could say the gunshot was the cause of death. I don't know. We'll have to press everything. We're gonna see. Yes. See, this is what adult Rebecca does. Okay, we use our head, we think about it. Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. That's what I was just talking about. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
Objection!
And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Ochi is right. Arg. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height. However, a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought. Calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question? On my honor, I, Taketsuchi Ochi, will cut down any who dare cast us such aspersions. Alright, calm down. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. Right, that thing. Okay. Let's take a pause here. So they were, really insisting on the fact that there was some other way of killing somebody without leaving a trace, right? So this is hinting that she poisoned him with the water, and that's why she took the glass. Because she didn't want the glass to be examined. And then she shot him to cover it up. Is what I'm thinking. So she shot him to make it look like the cause of death was him being shot, but he was already dead. Wait. So if he was already dead by the time the steak came out, so he was already dead before she even started eating. Is it? What? Okay, kitchen, entrance. This is where he was sitting. Okay, we already went through this. There's nothing, okay, so there's nothing new here. But okay, now I'm confused. So if my theory is right and she poisoned him and then took the glass because she didn't want the glass to be inspected. But then wait a minute, how would he have burned his wrist on the plate if it was on her side of the table? Or, okay, what if she poisoned him, he slumped over, so they toasted their glasses, she poisoned him, he died, it must have been some pretty fast-acting poison, he died, slumped over, hit his wrist on her plate, and then she shot him to cover up the poison. Does that make sense? I don't know. Okay, we still have to press her on every statement. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Yes.
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try and preserve the crime scene. I am trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. Haha, killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ochi is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryanosuke? I think it's going terribly. Okay. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma? What, Ryanosuke? There is one thing I noticed, something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant, if it might present an opening, maybe? Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose. Once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Interesting, okay, so I can press her again on the last statement and it'll be something different. So we have to go back down to the last statement. Was it this one? Yeah, it was that one. Okay, so I need to press it on that one. I wasn't sure if that was the last statement. I think there's something about his coughing too. Like there's gonna be something about the detective's coughing that's important.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Okay, so we've gone through this conversation already.
Wait.
Whoa, what? That was different. Wait for what? Yes, there it is again. Oh, I have to click on this thought bubble. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? Okay, this is new. At the moment, we're focused on Ms. Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with A and D, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with space. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. Okay. Have you ever noticed a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand? Take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with A and D and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with space and see what's on his mind. Here we go! Exactly. Okay, so...
Wait.
So, D. Why can't I move? Oh. What? Oh, there it goes. Okay, it wasn't working before. So I could, so it's either A or D or just clicking on it. Okay, so pursue.
Excuse me.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. Huh? The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. I mean, he was a valid witness before. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hasanaga. Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. She doesn't like that. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hasanaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. What? What are you talking about? A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. This is the bottle of carbonated water I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. Why does he have it with him? One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. The carbonated water the victim and Miss Brett shared on the day of the murder. It was on the victim's table and has been entered into the court record. Okay, well, let's go take a look. Okay, can I read this? The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Okay. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. What? No, it's evidence. No, Ryanosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what it might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryanosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Okay, I think it is the same thing that I worked out. So I think so I'll just repeat my theory from before. I think that Brett poisoned the water and then she took the glass because she didn't want it to be investigated, and then he slumped over dead, and his wrist flopped onto her plate when it arrived, and then she shot him to cover up the fact that he's poisoned. Okay, I think that's all I can investigate here. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Ahem. Okay. The post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Okay, so I think at this point we present the bottle. I might be wrong at this. I'm not sure, but this is the only way to find out, right? But I think we present the bottle because we think it was poison. I think it was poisoned.
Yes!
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order, order, order. And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Desai Brett, it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous, to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Yeah. Ahem, if I may, I will silence you forever for this disgraceful attack. Oh, wow. She told him to shut up. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Okay, he's so weird. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady, to what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And? What did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. Okay. Hold on here. So, I have two possibilities I'm thinking of. So, either she poisoned just his glass, or he very specifically said, I sent tests for every kind of poison that's available in this country at this time. So either she poisoned only his glass, or she brought something from Britain that's not available in Japan and they wouldn't even know to test for it. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No! Okay, it's alright, Rinosuke. I got two possibilities. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But, of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. The prosecutors are always so annoying in these games. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. Okay, so I think I'm putting it together. Okay, so he died of a hemorrhage. So I think what I said happened. I think she poisoned him, it caused a hemorrhage, and then she shot him to cover it up. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Rinosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Please, wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Maikatoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Maikatoba, the professor's daughter. In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. To be continued. mouse over this one. November, 1:14 p.m. Supreme Court of the Judicature, Courtroom 2. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why the sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha, a judicial assistant, and a woman no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha, you're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. Actually, it hasn't, because the judge hasn't made a ruling. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency, I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something. Written in English. It's Josiah Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? I've never heard that word before. Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Josiah's report has been entered into the court record. A report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett has been researching during her time at UMay University. Goodbye then, and good luck. So I was right. Well, maybe it wasn't something that she brought over from Britain, but it was some sort of unknown poison that they didn't even know to test for. You've had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. Okay, let me look at this report. Poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry: the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to practical applications, due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Okay. So it's something that's used in anesthetic or anesthetic. So he was paralyzed. That's why he didn't react to the burn. He drank the water. She put curare in it. His body went into like a paralysis, and he burned his wrist. But okay, wait, he also died from the poison. Instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death. I think she was trying to experiment on him with it, but she accidentally gave him too much and he died, and then she panicked and shot him to make it look like he died from a gunshot, and then put the gun on the ground so Ryanosuke would pick it up. Or just like whoever, I mean, it didn't have to be Ryanosuke. I guess it was just whoever was there. Ryanosuke was just unlucky. You have had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Ryanosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer? It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid... It's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline. You can't decline being in a courtroom. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat it as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. He was just being polite. My apologies, dear lady. So, Counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? Oh. Don't need to look into it. I need to present.
Yes!
Mr. Zay Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yumei University, doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? Why don't you just let me talk? They never let us talk. A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What? What complete and utter nonsense? Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it. That's because it's new. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. Oh, I was right! Because so the detective before it, he was very specific in saying, I tested for every single poison known to this country. Like, why would you say that? Like, that was a clue. That was a very specific. It doesn't exist? Correct, which means no matter what test the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? So she poisoned the water bottle, but... Okay, she poisoned the entire bottle, I guess. Order, order, order. And not just his glass. Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? Okay, but that was one of my possibilities. So I said that either the poison, like, Japan didn't know what the poison was, or she only poisoned his glass. Because they only tested the bottle, and then she took the glass. According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle. And it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery. These aspersions are utter trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of the so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain. The other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Except that if you read the report, the poison says that it puts bodies in paralysis. Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison called instant death. No, it didn't say instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's scary. That's hideous. To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. So I was right. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there's no means of testing? What a happy tale for the defense. Ahem, if I may. All these facts, you think you're so clever, but you must be taught some manners. It is you who must be taught. Of course. Dear lady. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. Okay, so if she hates Japan so much, why is she here studying? What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? Oh, she's gonna drink from it to prove that it's not poisoned. So it was the glass, then. She poisoned just the glass. Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry? To an English woman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers! Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. So we don't have the actual glass that the professor used to drink out of. We only have the picture where it's in her bag. Because I don't think that's his glass that she's drinking out of. Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no curare. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? Ha 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 ha. You look quite incredulous, little boy. But of course. That's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Grr. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attended in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Ryanosuke, we have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains poison, contains no poison. No, it was the glass. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Ryanosuke? Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your how do you pronounce this? Unadulterated naivete really astounds me. But sometimes it's in need of a good staining. Until it's as dark as your uniform in the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? That was a guileless ending to a promising line of enquiry, Counsel, for which you will be penalized. Okay, what? That wasn't the right... How is that not the right answer? So it was the bottle that was poisoned? There has to have been poison in that bottle. Okay, well, this has to be the right answer then, since I chose contains no poison before. And I was wrong. The culprit did put curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Objection!
Fool, are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well, if the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed? Okay, so let me check out the report again. Wait a minute, okay. The above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Okay, I'm kind of confused. Wait, so if it... So she shot him to put the curare in him? But then why would the poison be in the bottle? Or wait a minute, did she shoot? Okay. I'm still a little bit confused, but I think this is the right answer because... Okay, so this is saying that her report says what happened to him happens when the curare enters the body through a wound. But then why am I saying that the bottle had poison in it? Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Wait. Did she put curare in the bottle to paralyze him? Oh, wait a minute. But it says that it only paralyzes and kills them if they're inflicted. If the poison enters through a wound. Okay, I'm confused. Okay, I think this is it though. But then there's also the glass that she took. But why am I saying, okay, so why did I say though that there's poison in the bottle? Okay, I'm gonna save first. Because I think it's either the picture of the bottle she took, or the glass that she took, or the fact that the report says the paralysis and death only happen when the poison is entered through a wound, goes into the body through a wound.
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
That's not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, Counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? I don't remember, but we can look. Okay, so... Special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So, we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please. But, if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So, surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Counsel, no, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When curare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew curare's special characteristics. And you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... What? Is that a real swan? Well, Rinosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
Objection!
All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, curare is safe to ingest. It seemed likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. Succus? Oh yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? Ah. That's right. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? Order in court, order. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking now. I think that she used, like, I mean, the report says that it suggests like a poison dart or something, like a dart, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. So I think she used something similar to get the poison in him and then shot him in the same place to cover it up. But why? I'm still confused as to why the bottle would have the curare in it. Because that's what we said. We were like, oh, the bottle contains poison, but why would she even have curare in the bottle if it doesn't do anything when it's ingested? The logic holds. If the lady and professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest? Yes, this curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey. Oh my god, this is him channeling Phoenix Wright. I don't think so, Miss Josiah Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well there's no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested, why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the curare? Yeah. Oh! It was his tooth. So he had a tooth extracted, and that left a wound in his mouth that the poison went through.
Take that!
As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So, for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But What if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Oh, yes, I figured it out. Okay, that's why the bottle was poisoned. I was so confused about that. Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. I was right. Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. Ah. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Okay, so it wasn't an accident then. She planned it. Because at first I thought, like, before I found out that the curare is harmless when ingested, at first I thought she was, like, trying to experiment and, like, gave him too much and accidentally killed him. But she planned this whole thing, so I'm wondering why she killed him then. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Heh heh heh. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are also puerile. What? What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No. I mean, it could just slip. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. Really? So I mean, I guess it's the early days of criminal justice for Japan, but, like, nobody stopped her from just, like, taking the bottle. No! What is it? What just happened? It's the English woman. She just smashed that bottle. And in the Supreme Court, what a blunder. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you, it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. Ah ha 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 ha. How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in the bottle, or not. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel, for the prosecution? Oh, of course, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady. That's right. And really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So of course the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy.
Objection!
No, you killed the victim that day, using curare. And then, in order to frame Ryanosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor in his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. Hehehe. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say, and I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryanosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now, is she really going to get away with it? The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Ranosuke, yes? We've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend upon. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the same scene in my head, could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? Oh, well, it's zoomed in right there on the blood. Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. Haha, you always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ranosuke? Come on then, let's wipe that smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait! It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. That clue shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been is... Well, it has to be this.
Take that!
Inspector Hanasaga, answer me this. Yes, what is it? Ugh, he's still miles away. Probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day?
Objection!
Wait a minute. Where are you going with this? Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the picture again. Yeah, it's not there. So the blood isn't there in the picture. And I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on. It was a spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way the blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Ah. Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Desai Brett. I beg your pardon?
Objection!
This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing?
Hold it!
This This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean... Yes, I took the plate, in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now. Inspector. The court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. Here's what you ordered, the steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man, show the court. Of course, examine the plate at your leisure. There's no blood. No, no blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's impossible. I know I saw it, I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There's blood on the side of the plate. Hehehe. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Ah. Tisk, I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire, I believe we may finally have reached a conclusion in this trial. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at a courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. Ha! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. Plate of steak has been entered into the court record. The meal Miss Brett ordered for lunch. It was removed from the victim's table after the incident. How do we know this is not the other steak that the sergeant was eating? Was the plate I saw or thought I saw just a figment of my imagination? This is it now. I've lost. Ryanosuke. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Oh, what? What is that? Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin, and the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. Oh, so it is the sergeant's steak. No, I don't mean what is it. I mean, what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time today that there's been talk of a Hoei Koban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion and bouillon, really. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... I certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick cut of meat. And it's from the Hoei era, too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well, look. What, are you thinking of eating it? No. But the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize, okay? I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryanosuke. A Koban coin underneath the steak. There's only one logical explanation. Yeah, it's the other steak. That's what I was wondering. Because... So I was thinking that before, because if we look at So if we look at the pictures... Okay, I guess not that one. You can't see it. But if I look at this picture, the steak doesn't look the same. I guess maybe it does. I thought this steak was more eaten than the steak in the picture. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what. Believe in myself? Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? There's another clue. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth.
Objection!
The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beef steak. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beef steak is this new clue to be found? Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin. And the hallmark... Okay, well, we already went through this conversation. Okay, so I guess I just have to present this.
Got it!
Good gracious, that's... Koban? What on earth? Ahoy, Arrow 1 at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat?
Shut up!
What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
Objection!
I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction.
Objection!
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoi Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak? If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel? A rare Hoi Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak? If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now.
Objection!
You're not a lawyer. By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway.
Shut up!
Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. The owner of the Koban that was found underneath the beefsteak is the antique stealer.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antique stealer and owner of Rasute? Kiryo Kuru Kudasan. Kuri, as in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Koban coin when it happened, at exactly the moment the gun was fired. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Hoei Era Koban, my prized coin. Then this Hoei Era Koban, do you mean to tell me? No, please, why would Kuda-san's Koban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense.
Yes!
Which is why I'm asking to bring Kuda-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Okay, so this trial is going on a lot longer than I thought. It's already an hour and a half in and I'm still not done. Without a moment's delay. Can't believe we've come back round to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Koban, we'll find it's a key element in the case. Wow, now all four of them are on the stand. What's this about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize it's dinner time for little baby Ido? When my son's belly is empty, he is fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police, we were, like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom, myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasutai shop owner's existence. Be that as it may, Kurikuda-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. Hi there. Hey, Tiny Tina. How are you doing? Thank you so much for coming in. As far as your Rasutai memory serves, have you ever... Oh, what is happening here? Oh my god. Did a knife just stick in his foot? Did he catch a knife with his foot? That is... Yes, that's it. The one. The very one. The exact one, that is. The resplendent, splendoriferous Hoei treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. It can't be. As I thought. Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where's was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate soaking in the seasoned meat's juices. Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously? Doing great, 4:10 in the morning and want to check up. What? Why are you up at 4:10 in the morning? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoei treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing. Well, we know it was the sergeant because he wanted the coin. I am a late bird. Yeah, me too. Usually I'm up until like 3 in the morning. So, I mean, on weekends, I'm definitely up until like 3 in the morning. On weekdays, like sometimes, like, because, you know, I have work the next morning, but it's a little easier to stay up because I work from home. So I try to go to sleep earlier on weeknights, but sometimes I'm still up until 3. I'm usually not up until 4, though. Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hasanaga. I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah, yes, that's right. The secret undercover operation. La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Kurakuta's son's Koban is all too clear. What? What? Well, the sergeant over here is sweating. Oh, my camera's blocking him. Okay, so let me move my camera for a minute. Okay, so he's sweating pretty badly. But I already knew that it was his plate because he said that he was eating a beefsteak also, and then he was talking to the antique dealer about the coin, so that had to have been his plate. I stay up usually 29 to 30 hours before bed. What? Oh, man. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. Have you always done that? Because, like, when I was a kid, I would stay up really, really late. And I would sleep until, like, 2. Some of my friends would stay up all night. Like, some of my friends would be up until, like, 6 in the morning and then go to sleep, and they'd sleep all day. I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Korakuta-san's Koban and hid it under the steak? It was Nosa.
Take that!
Obviously. It can only be you. Sergeant Aisa Nosa. What? How? How dare you? You monster? Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, Cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido. Ido is the mastermind behind all this. Oh, okay. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa. Ooh. Ooh, ah. What? These games are so weird, but I love them. Oh my god, what is happening? Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Ayasa Nosa, preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Your Honor, the baby is tampering with evidence. My beard is being abused in excruciating pain. I know, right? The baby keeps falling on his mustache. I don't even know why they let him bring the baby up to the stand. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place. And I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? I mean, I guess so. The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days, I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. Well, this is a twist. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. Okay, so I did not see this coming. So we have a lot of things going on right now. So we've got a murder, and then we also solved, apparently, another case of a thief at the restaurant, which we didn't even know was happening until now. It sounds like he doesn't even bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. I mean, if that's how he wants to eat his steak, that's how he wants to eat his steak. And your target that day was the old man and his Koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak I was halfway through devouring when it happened. The baby might have a good evidence. Yeah, he might have taken something. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Ido too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time? Well, Miss Brett. Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. Oh my god, this sucking up from OT is getting really annoying. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency? Indeed. The theft of the Koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. However, the steak... But that steak plate was the sergeant's, so we're still missing the plate with the blood on it. So that's how it's relevant. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Well, ooh. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. This seems like a bit of insanity. Code, what's up? Thank you so much for coming. Get pretty insane. There is a bit of insanity. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. Hold it! Rhinosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just something about Miss Brett's hurting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there's a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking, make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
That's what I said. Hold it! Wait, Miss Brett! What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time. That's Ace Attorney for you, I know! They're so weird, but I love them. They're like so well written, even though like such crazy stuff goes on in the Ace Attorney games and you're just like, what? But they're so good at the same time, you know what I mean? But I don't know, they're Japanese. I don't know, they're just like, they're weird. They're like weird in that Japanese way, you know what I mean? There's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Objection!
Objection! What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryanosuke? Yeah, I'm not really sure what he's talking about either, actually. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. It was her, the bubble-blowing baby saddled sergeant had a point. The baby knew too much. Yeah. It's always the baby, huh? Okay, wait a minute. Let me look at the evidence. So the fork and knife were used in this picture. As for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. I'm going to need to see evidence, Counsel. If Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory, where is the evidence to prove it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't get it. So I think it's the picture of this, of the steak, because the steak and the knife and fork were used, but the sergeant doesn't use a fork and knife to eat his steak. So the plates were switched. I mean, I know they were switched, but I'm not sure what the evidence is to prove it. Okay, I'm gonna save here in case I'm wrong. But I think it's this.
Take that!
The photographic print of the scene taken immediately after the incident occurred? What's interesting is that the plate of steak you can see on the victim's table. The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency. The steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? Okay, so I was right. I know it's her. She hid the coin, switched the plates, blamed it on the sergeant and the old guy. So the sergeant hid the coin, but the plates were switched. But it's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Oh, so... Because I was looking at this plate, and then I was looking at the picture, and I thought they were different, but they're not. But they're the same because the plates were switched, but the knife and fork were used. Notice what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a good look at the steak, in particular, the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Ah, oh. It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all.
Objection!
But what is your actual point? And if you look at the picture, she did use a knife and fork, like they were used. They're dirty, so she couldn't have eaten that steak. But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry and couldn't help herself. Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course, this will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Just leave everything... He tells him to shut up a lot. I've heard enough. You irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course, dear lady. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Oh, because she's got a swan. I get it. Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Rinosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Oh, I do. Yes, now at last, it's all come together. Rinosuke, I got this. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. Except that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been? What? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist.
Objection!
This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already. And you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it.
Objection!
I don't, but there's someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. Well, we heard that before. That was like, what, 3 hours ago? He was like, okay, this is your last cross-examination. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about this whole affair? The waiter / inspector, because he took everything, so he would have the other steak.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hasanaga. What? I have it? Yes. You're the crime scene thief. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. Hem. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on the steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Where is the other steak? Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. And as well as admitting to stealing Kurikuda-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, cadet. I'm a superior officer. Well, I mean, Rinosuke's a civilian, so he doesn't have to answer to you. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the stake that you put the coin under, in fact, your own stake? Tension? Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentlelady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the stake that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
Objection!
But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table. Exactly.
Objection!
That wasn't her plate. Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two stakes over? I don't think it was the sergeant. Oh, maybe it was the sergeant, but just to hide the coin, you did switch the plates? Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my stake and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. I solved the case before the court, yay! Well, the sergeant hid the coin. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my stake with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you, so yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable! Unbelievable. However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform, that is all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over, where is the other plate? It means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Earlier in the trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. Ah. This is taking a really long time to just ask, where is the other steak? Or the other plate? I guess the plate is the most important, it's not the steak. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot.
Shut up!
What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat? It can't have the slightest bearing on the case. Well, I just said it's not the steak, it's the plate.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you? No? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see the plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Just thinks he remembers. Well, then you should have no problem bringing the plate back. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let's not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. Oh boy. The plot thickens even more so than it already has, and it's thickened a lot. It's thickened like oatmeal. Thickened like 3 bowls of oatmeal. Here is the other steak in its plate. Please feel free to examine it. So you're telling me Hasanaga, when he took the plate, he didn't notice the blood? The blood stain. It's clearly visible, look.
Yes!
Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. Ugh. That's right. Mr. Zai Brett. It's you! What? Did the swan just die? I'm gonna sleep happy tonight. I beat the court before they knew who it was. Well, we suspected that she had done it, but we just couldn't prove it. Outdone by a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no! Oh no, the swan's not dead. Oh my god, what is happening? Yeah, woohoo! We are at the end of the case. I think this is it. I think this is really it. I thought I would solve this like half an hour into the stream, but it's 2 hours later. What is happening? Oh my god, look at all the little chicks! I could before they could, that tells something. Well, she was always the... Okay, so my character, Ryan is Suke, he was accused of murdering Dr. Wilson, but we always knew it was her, really, but we just couldn't prove it through her, like, statements and evidence, but now we did. Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Oh, did you? Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. And I only just came in and I solved it under a few minutes. Yes, you did. Gladly, Your Excellency. I must be a detective. You should play these games. It was I who took the professor's life using curare. This first case feels more like a second case. It really does, because I was expecting this to be over way long ago. Like, I was like, okay, because I played the Phoenix Wright games, and the first case in all those games was always just kind of more of like a tutorial case. This one's really long. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water. Because curare is unheard of here in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water and it would all be over. for how lengthy and complicated it is. Yeah, I totally agree. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone. I wonder if it's like, I don't know, maybe they just assume that you played some of the other games before and that you already kind of know how it works. But yeah, I'm really surprised at how long this one is. And leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. Oh, so she framed him because he saw her there. So she did choose him then. Because before I was saying like, oh, she probably just framed it on whoever was around. But she picked him because he saw her and he was the only one that could identify her. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. She's pretty calm about all this. I happen to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right, there were two guns. Yes. Yeah, and then she was saying before, like, oh, there's nowhere I could have hidden a gun. And then Ryanosuke was like, there are multiple places you could have hidden the gun on your outfit. Because she's like, yeah, that's what I said before last night. I was saying she had like this giant skirt. I mean, you can kind of see it through the text box, but she has this giant skirt. And then before, when I thought the swan was fake, I thought she would have put it in there, but apparently it's real. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Presumably placed on the floor. A place where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I'd intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up... Bang. It's almost 5 a.m. and the sleepy detective needs beauty sleep. Alright, Tiny Tina, thank you so much for coming in. Good night. That's when you shot the professor with your own gun, even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor and his chair around. Because, of course, you need to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he picked up the gun. Yeah, she could have totally hidden a gun in her skirt. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. But why did you kill him? Your Excellency. Yes. I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you, okay? Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. Wait, what? She just made a confession and we're just, like, letting her go? What? It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement? This can't be. Takatsuchi Aochi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student. He'd better start getting used to tough opposition. Arg! Ranosuke Naruhodo. What, yes? This insult to the Ochi family name will never be forgotten. You've become conceited with age, Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Wait, so why did she kill him, though? She never said. And then she just left. Okay, he should not be allowed to have a sword in the courtroom. Did he just cut off his hair? 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Ochi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Rinosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. I thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits. But what will it look like? I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi? Yes? After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can, absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Rinosuke Naruhodo? Oh, yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Rinosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. This court is now adjourned. So have you noticed that it's not guilty or innocent? It's guilty or not guilty. Because I guess, you know, you might not be innocent. Although, you know how they say innocent until proven guilty? So why is it not guilty? Or, yeah, not guilty until proven. Not guilty until proven guilty? I guess it doesn't sound as good. 22nd November, 2:46 p.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendant's Antechamber 5. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Renosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. Ha 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 ha. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Don't forget! Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Ah, our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Yes, of course. Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikatoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Speaking of Mikotoba... Ah, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikatoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably, that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides... It's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world. In science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Sogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Josiah Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future. For Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Josiah Brett will not appear in court again in this country, I'm certain of that. What? Why? What? But why not? That's what I said. It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hasanaga. So this case is not over yet? It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... But what's all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case, somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we signed the friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our government making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid that for the young student, today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There's never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But Professor... You're right, this is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryanosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hasanaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now. To La Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor? Of course. La Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh yes, thank you. So Josiah Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. That's what I was just saying, like we never found out why she killed him. So then I guess maybe this isn't over yet. If we don't know why she killed him and she's not being tried here, this might not be over. This whole episode might not be over. Kazuma. Yes, Ryanosuke? I just want to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. Ha 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 ha, I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. I mean, he definitely helped. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. Aw. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me. All those tense verbal combat? I never want to go through that ever again. I did what you told me to do, that's all. Because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryanosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? It's a pretty good one. No, the ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom, you can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you choose to believe even then, well, that's not something anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stop believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stop looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it, through your own efforts. And because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryanosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. sounds serious. What is... Ah, you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study toward a Great Britain, don't forget. Yes. That too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma, Professor Miko Toba, Susato-san, who acted as my assistant, Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. Okay, so that was the end of episode 1. So I wonder if we find out in a later episode why Jazai killed the professor. The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. Okay, so I am going to start this, and I don't know how far I'll get into it before I end stream. I mean, considering how long that one was, because my last stream was 4 hours, and it was just on episode 1. And now I'm 2.5 hours into this stream, which means it took me 6.5 hours, so way longer than I expected. So before I start episode 2, I'm going to take a break, and I will be right back. Okay, so let's start episode 2, but I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stream because having to read all the dialogue out loud is like really killing my voice, so we'll see how long I can last. But we can at least start it.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I
Sholmes?
with bated
Sherlock
breath.
Holmes?
In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson?" he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The speckled band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which she referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
9th January, 6:37 a.m. on board the steamship Furia.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor. Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time. This is a most extraordinary script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality. This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident, by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, what have we here?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait.
Shh. That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder. I need cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you, and where have you come from?
I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock
I
Holmes.
presume you must have heard of me.
Oh, my head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. Wait, I can't move. What? Ah, what the? Why am I in handcuffs? So, you wake up now, We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You're a true cold-blooded man. Wait, so am I accused of murder again? You found me then. Da, we found you. And now you pay. Criminal. How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, Ugh, sorry. Now you have been found, it is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Isn't that... Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Miss Susato. Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazuma? Ha, you pretend you do not know? You are a wolf in the sheep's pelt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. What? Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. What? Kazuma died? And everybody thinks I killed him? Here, in this very cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please. Do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs, surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No. No! So I am being accused of murder again. Well, Kazuma was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Ha 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 ha. Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? Okay. You know, this kind of reminds me of the Phoenix Wright games because, there was this lady, Mia, who was Phoenix Wright's, like, mentor, and she was there in the first case, but then she died in the second case, and you had to solve her murder. There's really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case on the floor. I thought I was going to die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. Ugh, I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant Mika Toba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point? Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. Good point, good point. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I tell you what, why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper? What? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. We'd only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We'll leave you at next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer. No, I'm not a murderer. Duh, you said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on the ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susada-san. Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you, too. Ugh, those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. Well, I need to ask her both. First, let's check the court record. Paper seal. Kazuma would stick this over the doors of the wardrobe for me. It says "keep out" in Japanese, though I'm not sure the Russian crew can actually read it. This is the paper seal I wrote for the wardrobe. I remember really working hard to make it, but I'll never forget how Kazuma reacted. You expect the Russian crew to be able to read that, he said? Still, I was sure people would get the idea, even if they couldn't read it, so we used it anyway. And it worked. I don't know if the crew thought it was creepy or what, but no one opened the doors. So... But, I mean, he was just talking to that Russian sailor, so they can communicate. So, either they're speaking Japanese, or Ryanosuke is speaking Russian, or they're both speaking English. A certified lawyer and my best friend, he was on his way to London for a study tour when he was taken from this world. A judicial assistant who was traveling with Kazuma to London for a study tour. She is the epitome of a refined Japanese lady. What? Susato is 16? And her dad just, like, let her go to London? And she's a judicial assistant? Seems a little young for that. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream. And these handcuffs, they think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside the cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Asada-san, you have to tell me. The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died? The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then? That's true, yes. about the incident. Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please. Whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day so far on this voyage. But this morning he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. The crewmen forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside, there was Kazuma-sama, collapsed on the floor. And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now I've told you everything that I know, so it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. Ugh, my head feels so heavy. Still throbbing like anything. Stowaway. Why are you even on board the ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes, I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, that would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I mean, does he need, like, a reason? Like, Ryanosuke's his best friend, and he's going to a different country? Like, well, I guess he would have Susato? I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, Susato, there, but he, you know, he probably wants, like, company. It's easier with friends. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? That you ought to become a lawyer yourself? Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it, I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. I mean, hey, if you have the opportunity to go to England, I would take it. I've never been to England. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. If Ryanosuke became a lawyer, then he and Kazuma could start their own firm. Kazuma-sama he was always saying the same thing. That he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then. It was darker than I've ever seen it before. Sasuda-san. I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on the ship, I mean. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, avoid me becoming guilty by association. Yes, that is what he said. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. Well, she is the judicial assistant. Hey, Rebecca, how are you doing? What did you think about the clips I sent to you of Valkyrie? Hey, Ben, thanks for coming in. I'm doing good, how are you? And those clips were really funny. Yeah, she gets pretty crazy. If you're not the culprit, then tell me. What happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yes. So he's been sleeping in the cabinet? But why does he need to sleep in there? Like, nobody's going to come in the middle of the night. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. Maybe somebody drugged Ranosuke, like put some drugs in his food so he wouldn't wake up. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. So, well, the autopsy still has yet to come back, but I'm thinking somebody killed Kazuma like a slow-acting poison, maybe, so that he was already in the cabin and locked it. Because if it's locked, then why would Rinosuke need to sleep in the cabinet? Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Sada-san, you have to believe me, I didn't do it. I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there's no one else who could possibly have done this. Ugh. Kazuma, I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? Arg, I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry, but Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around, my hands tied, while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hiya! What the? That was a Sasato takedown. A Sasato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry, prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to... Have you forgotten already? What you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Sasada-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. Okay, well, I only have two things to choose from, but I'm not sure which one it would be. So how does either of these prove anything? Okay, well, I've already investigated this in the last episode. Maybe this? I still don't understand how this is going to prove my innocence. Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. Ah. Yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Ah, okay. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor. I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Sasato-san. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? And yeah, he's still handcuffed. Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here, at least. Thank you. So you finally believe me? I'm sorry. No. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. What did she think I am, a magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Sasato-san. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Okay, so I've already asked her everything I can. Okay, let's look around. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mown down at once. I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt it. Then perhaps it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and the statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. I don't think she should do that. That's messing with the crime scene. Exactly what she did not want me to do. Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Sasato-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused, I forget to look around properly. Ah, yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? I'm sure you're careful to look all around using B, M, aren't you? Oh, okay, B and M. I did not know I could use those. Now, let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. I suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. That's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Yes, I see it says "this way up" in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewmen wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over. And then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear. Being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma, he didn't even make it to his destination. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Really? That's out of the question. What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important, something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. What? You want me to solve his murder? I'm gonna have to look at everything. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? That's what I said. I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. What? With the ink bottle? It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhodo-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. Wait, so crew members can just enter people's cabins like whenever they want? And last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. This is, yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes. In the interest of cultural research, obviously. I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Oh, so that's a way somebody could get in and out. Oh, my camera's blocking the vent. Okay, I'm gonna move my camera for 1 second. Okay, so there's an air vent up here, and somebody can get in or out through there without going through the door. So that means that I'm not the only person that could have done it. Yes, it would appear to, you're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when seas are rough, or something like that? I suppose. Maybe that's it. Okay, nothing about the bed. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? What? Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. Okay. I don't think it's a language. I think he left some sort of code. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. Yes, that's a thing. Naruhodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And is he investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it, or does Sasato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press space on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. So she must be a fan of this Sherlock Holmes character. Or Herlock Sholmes. Wasn't that his name? Alright, first, I'm going to examine the rest of the room. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Buria. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Well, I can see that Kazuma had a sword. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? Oh, wow. Susato. I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Nesuke fastener from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it, what is it, I wonder? It has sort of a brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It is the color of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. Okay, so did we like put any of these? No, we didn't actually put any of these in our court record yet. Okay, so we don't have any new people either. Oh, we already investigated this. I didn't want to click on that. I wanted to click on... Okay, I guess this general area. That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone, but I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Oh, there's, okay, so, what? So the tablecloth? Oh. I guess I had to click it in a certain place. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still... No, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama? No, no, no. Saigi, the Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on the ship? Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me? What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it is not true, I see. Sorry. The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime? Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. He might have useful information, though. I have to keep trying. So, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Nit, of course not. Now back to the corner of the room and make silent. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there'd be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they sail together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. How about this? Nope, nothing. Okay. Okay, I don't think there's anything else I can investigate. So we can talk to Herlock Sholmes. Excuse me. Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh. This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings, I hope I haven't kept you long. Okay. Very steampunky. What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. Sorry? What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me. Yeah, he's got some, like, X-ray goggles or something. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. What? Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how... How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction. Hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being, as you are, a merciless revolutionary. No. The only thing that he's gotten correct is that I found myself in a predicament. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. Where is he getting this from? Also, he told me I was from Russia. Ryanosuke is Japanese. Does he look like he's from Russia? And when the beribboned occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Oh, so he thinks I'm a spy for Russia. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I don't even see one person who fits the bill. So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. No. What? And you're plotting a revolution too. So, what? Like, why would she just, like, believe that? It's shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, there's no way Hi-ya! She did another takedown on me. Sasato takedown. Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. I agree. I mean, and then I found a way that somebody else could have gotten in the room. It's that air vent. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? No, dude. Whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha, there you have it, you see. What do you make of that, He's like a bizarro Sherlock Holmes. Well, to be honest, the ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder, so I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Damn! Ryanosuke is savage. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with brassy certitude, and more often than not, I'm right. Ha! I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. What is that word? Inimitable? I don't know what that means. This game uses a lot of words that I don't know what they mean. Sherlock Holmes. So it's really you? The actual Sherlock Holmes. The very same. The inimitable actual Sherlock Holmes. Do you know this man, Sasato-san? The most famous detective in the world? Naruhodo-san, of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on, then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? Great detective. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I'm none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Sherlock, was it? Hairlock. No, I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please call me Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rant's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. Oh, okay, I see. So he's not actually a detective. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Oh, I see. So we have Sherlock Holmes and Wilson instead of Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Isn't it Watson? Yeah, it is Watson. Dr. Wilson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Okay, so he says that there are, like, articles and reports on his actual investigations. Why, at this very moment, I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Okay, so let's look at the... Oh. So I didn't actually get the book that he showed me. But we did get a character profile. Sherlock Holmes, 34. There's not a person in the world who hasn't heard of this famous great detective. Not a person except me, apparently. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is, to me, a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin, all of these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in a blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn for both observation and deduction. And fame. That is what makes me the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Okay, so I think I'm gonna ask him the rest of these things and then stop for the night because this is really killing my voice. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow. Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective, Herlock Sholmes, was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, they're handcuffs. I'm pretty sure they have to fit everybody. Arg. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, 2 facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? 2 facts, you say? Oh, now we have more things we can talk about. Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please. What 2 facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah, yes. But first, let us be precise. The 2 facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The 2 facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. No, the air vent. How come nobody else noticed the air vent? Number 2, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes, what made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Oh, that is Russian? Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? Yeah, did he know Russian? Or did somebody fake it? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderob may be the name of the killer, a certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there, at least. Where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so, I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. The Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink. It would appear to have been written in the victim's final moments. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that? Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian, and I don't speak Russian. Okay, I'm gonna look at the picture. Well, I don't see anything unusual right now. Alright, well, you know what? This is a ton of dialogue, and my voice is killing me. So, I'm gonna end it there. But we did finish the first case, which was really good. I'm excited for this one. I would play more, but it's just like the reading everything out loud is just a nightmare. Alright, so I don't think I will be streaming tomorrow. I think I have to do some stuff for my modeling agency tomorrow night. Friday, or I don't know, whenever I'm free this week, but I will post it on Discord and Twitter and all that, so please join me next time. I'm really enjoying these games. I hope you are too. And thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next stream or video. Bye!